So it's a bit strange to be saying these words for a myriad of reasons. But we've reached our season finale, Adam.
Unbelievable.
Did you ever think we'd have a season, much less a season finale?
I was never thinking that far in advance.
Right, me either. But welcome into Behind the G, folks. The final one for this school year, the school year of 2025-2026. And that's what this whole episode is going to be about.
Yeah.
We're going to take a look back at the who, what, when, wheres, and whys, because a lot happened this year.
Yeah.
And not just on the proverbial fields and courts, but off of it, with individuals, had some coaching changes. You all know the nuances a bit, but we're going to kind of go in review because what a wild year it's been. And again, the season finale of season 1 of Behind the G. Crazy to think. Well, I mean, this time last year, this didn't even exist.
Yeah, it wasn't really. I mean, we were kind of thinking about it, but hadn't put it into play.
Well, and as we mentioned, I think with episode 1, when we sort of talked about the purpose of us wanting to do this, this has been an idea that's been bannered about for the last few years. And, you know, it seemed like when we really were like, okay, when you said to me, go look up the equipment we need to, and I started that process, I thought it was the perfect time. Mm-hmm. For a reason I really couldn't describe, except to say there were bridges that needed to be gapped.
Yeah.
No. Switch that. I'm already on summer break, folks. There were gaps that needed to be bridged.
Yeah.
I felt like.
I knew what you were saying.
And I appreciate that. And what a perfect tool to have that come to fruition. Mm-hmm. Perfect way to do that. But then as it turned out, what this became, because of some of the things we went through this past year, what this allowed for, what this provided for us, almost in a lot of cases some therapy, was it took Behind the G to a level. It gave its purpose something far greater than what I ever thought it was going to be.
Well, and there's stories every year. I mean, there's things that happen, not that always end up national news or controversy or anything along those lines. But this
we always got to do it big.
Hey,
we'll always got to
leave no prisoners.
That's right.
But this ultimately allows us the opportunity to, as we always talk about, tell our own story, tell our side of the story that. Whether that's, the Times or Access doesn't really get the opportunity to, or our coaches don't get the opportunity to, or our athletes don't get the opportunity to. So it's been a really, really cool experience, and it's obviously turned into a whole lot more than, we certainly envisioned it to. And as you said, it was absolutely the right time to be able to do that.
And the future, and again, we're just talking about this podcast, this one little thing within our athletic department. I'm excited about the relationships. 'Cause, again, we got a few new coaches for this year. That you all will be able to sort of see the organic process of relationships being built. Because we came in last year, we had relationships with everybody, right?
Yep.
And you're going to get to see that process, and I hope, I'll say this, but before we get into the nitty-gritty and the nuts and bolts of this particular show, I hope this has been something you've looked forward to being released, new episodes coming out. I hope that it's something you've enjoyed listening to. And more importantly, I hope that it's something you look forward to continuing, because we sure do. We do plan on doing some episodes throughout the summer. I think maybe once every couple weeks, we'll put an episode out just to update folks on what's going on, because stuff does happen over the summer. We'll get to it coming up, but we got a pretty rigid schedule over the course of the summer for our student athletes, for our coaches, for our athletic programs. So we're still going to be here over the course of the summer, not as frequently, not weekly, but we'll still be here putting out episodes. So make sure that you're on the lookout for that. And I got to say it every intro. How do you find us? At Go Red Elephants, across all platforms on social media. X, Facebook, Instagram. We're on TikTok as well. You can go to goredelephants.com, our website too. We got a handy-dandy top menu line there that says Behind the G Podcast for Red Elephants by Red Elephants. You just click on it and you can get every episode we've done so far. I believe this is going to be episode 28 of season 1. Regardless, though, it's the season's finale. So before we kind of get into the nuts and bolts, let's go over some numbers real quick, okay? This year, we had 5 players of the year and 2 coaches of the year for the region. We had 25 first-team all-region performers over 6 sports.
Yep.
We had 9 student athletes who were named GACA All-State Team, GACA being the Georgia High School Coaches. Yeah, there we go. We had 14 second-team all-region performers. And we had 5 all-county performers. In girls wrestling, they don't have an all-area and all-region, not enough girls teams within the region to create a region. You get what I'm saying? So their individual accolades are all county. So we had 5 all county performers in wrestling. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams go to the state playoffs. Yep. Does that sound right?
Yep.
We had 3 teams go to the state semis, 1 go to the state finals. Flag football, in its first year of existence, made a quarterfinal appearance. Baseball made its first playoff appearance in a decade. Volleyball made it back to the state playoffs. Track had 2 state titles. Girls golf had 1 state titleist. We'll get into all of it, but those are pretty impressive numbers for the 2025-2026 season. And I hope I'm not leaving that out. Girls wrestling, 3rd straight region title.
Yeah.
But an impressive array of numbers there. And my word, what a year it's been since we started this thing in August, going through fall, winter, spring. A lot's happening. That's not even getting into the little parts of it. It's not even getting into the stories of it.
Yeah, and that's kind of our hopes for today is kind of go through, kind of sport by sport, those that, deserve to be talked about, and then kind of talk about their record, talk about their any specific stories, any great stat lines, any college signees, anything along those lines, just to kind of wrap up each individual season and just kind of move through the entire athletic department, and then kind of give ourselves an idea of what the summer looks like and what we're kind of looking forward to for next year.
Speaking of college signees, 34 class of 2026 members signed to play at the next level. We can't really say we can't say this with our full chest, but we can say it with about 90% of our chest. That's the most across the board that Gainesville High School has had in a year's time.
Last year was 22.
Yeah.
So I mean, and that was a lot then.
That was a lot then.
Yeah.
And speaking of the class of 2026, so Dr. Jeremy Williams, our superintendent, put this out in his end of year email. And it in and of itself is impressive. Just talking about the class of 2026, the student athletes therein, and what they've produced. And I want to go back to, real quick, when they were freshmen, what athletics looked like at Gainesville High School compared to them graduating and what athletics looks like at Gainesville High School. We're talking 2 diametric opposites.
Yep.
Now, the trajectory when they were freshmen pointed towards how it is when they were seniors. But it certainly was not there yet. All that said, though, the student athletes of the class of 2026, 17 region titles, football, cross country, tennis, baseball, boys basketball, and track, 8 county titles over track and field and basketball, 4 area titles in flag football and girls wrestling, 6 state semifinal appearances in football, basketball, soccer, girls golf, and boys golf, and 2 state title game appearances in football. When you think about 2022, 2023, when these guys were freshmen, and these young women were freshmen, those type of, I just think about the region titles alone, those type of numbers, we weren't.
We certainly weren't thinking about that. And in some of those sports, golf kind of year in, year out.
Sure.
Soccer kind of year in, year out. Baseball had not been doing well.
No.
Football had not been doing well. Basketball had not been doing well. And all of those have kind of, I feel like those are been turned around and headed in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Which makes me so excited about what the future looks like for all three of the big three and how that is going to affect the other sports.
Yeah. Yeah, and and then you throw in flag football, a whole new sport.
Correct, yes.
That this crop got to play and ended up winning an area title and making it to the quarterfinals. It opened my eyes. We grind, man. It's day to day. We're here. We're fighting the good fight. We're celebrating what is meant to be celebrated, and of course mourning that which is meant to be mourned. We're doing it together, but it's day to day, baby. We focus on the next 12 to 24 hours ahead of us, and then we move on to the next 12 to 24. But when you think of the totality, it opened my eyes to where we were, where we are, where we're going, even more so than it usually is. I'm always proud of who we are, where we're going. But when you really see it, when you see it pared down to something like a few numbers, and then you think about where it started and where it is, there's even more pride involved.
Well, and it's always fun to go back and compare as we talk about what the graduating class of 2026 accolades is going to be. What is 27 going to look like?
Yeah, no doubt.
What is 28 going to look like? So those, the class of 26, as freshmen, everything that they've done over the last 4 years has laid the groundwork for what is getting ready to come.
Yeah.
And we're all certainly excited about that and have a whole lot of confidence in what we're doing. Obviously, a lot of that has to do with our regions and who we're playing, and we'll talk about this later. We've been in one of the toughest regions in the state, and,
getting tougher,
and we'll continue that way.
That's right. All right, listen, we're gonna start with the fall, because why not?
Yeah,
that's the next one to come, and it's the first one, right?
It's coming right down the pipe.
When you go back to the fall season, obviously what we were able to do in football stands out. Had a new volleyball coach in Christina LeCurve that brought an energy to that program that is palpable, and you're going to see it exercised even more this coming year. Cross country under Richard Corbett, always good, always competitive. Softball, most wins I think since like a decade, since 2016.
Yep.
Which what Brad Prestridge is doing there is fantastic as well. But obviously, when it comes to the main storylines, our non-flag football team was sort of the headline grabber.
Sure, yeah. So starting off with just talking about how football did. Obviously, we all know that they made it to the state championship, overall record of 12-3. 5-1 in the region. That tough loss to Roswell, which was certainly. We've all struggled with that one. Because certainly with this team as good as we thought they were going to be, we thought they certainly had the opportunity to win a region title. In that late loss to Roswell, 37-35 loss to Roswell, probably heated us up a little bit to get into the playoffs, and then from there, kind of making that run. Football obviously had the biggest storylines of the year. But I wanted to ask you this. When you look back at the football season, what is the biggest non-Brunswick story about the football season that whenever you look back, whether it's a game that was really meant something to you, or what do you think about?
That's a good question, because this football season, it was memorable and then became even more memorable because it was Coach Niblett's last one.
Yeah. No, and we didn't know that at the time.
No, we didn't know that at the time. I gotta say, so there are two things, and one of them's probably gonna because of the end result, it's gonna seem like why is that a good memory? So I'll start with the one that should be a good memory. To me, when we went to Milton, and won.
Yeah.
That was, just the whole of it. That was sort of and again, we didn't know what was going to happen against Roswell, but that was sort of the beast that needed to be slayed.
It was a hill that we felt like we had to get over. It was a
Correct.
28-16 win
Yeah.
that never even felt close. No,
it
didn't
didn't.
feel like it was 12 points.
And you know, to see those boys, and we talked about the connectivity of that football team a lot last year. That was really the moment where you went, "Oh, this is different.
Yeah.
Oh, they're different."
Yep.
You know, to see those boys celebrate each other. You know, to see them celebrate with Coach Niblett. If you all have been, I say longtime listeners, if you all have listened to this first season, you heard us talk a lot in the fall about how, you know, Coach Niblett was not emotionless on the sideline, but he never showed there was never any grand gesture of emotion.
Stoic.
And I talked about, you know, I've seen you pumped your fist like twice, right? And once was in the state title game in 2022. You know, and then the other time was in the Milton game. You know, this year. And it just, for something to have meant so much and then come to fruition like you wanted it to, just an unbelievable memory. That's a core Gainesville athletic memory. The second one, though, is standing on the field before the state championship game. Now, did we get curb stomped by Thomas County Central? Yes, we did. Yes, we did. It is not something where you can say, well, we just had an off day. Thomas County Central was phenomenal and dominated us in every facet.
Really, really
Kudos to them. Really, really good team. We probably could have played a little better. I don't know that it would have mattered. Really, really good team. But to see the Gainesville fans show up the way they did.
Yep.
And I'll also say, you know, anytime we've had a road game, a playoff road game, like, so the Langston Hughes game, okay, just brought me to my knees. The people who showed up.
Yep.
And of course, the way we played, and because of the non-Brunswick, we're not talking about the Brunswick thing yet, but because of everything that had to come together to lead to that moment, the way our fans showed up on the road, unbelievable. But to be in Mercedes-Benz, you know, I'm so proud to wear the G anyway.
Yep.
But in moments like that, man.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you look in the tunnel, you see our sweet little boys. And of course, again, we know the end result. And so you're sitting here thinking, KDB, why is that a good memory?
It's still an achievement to get there. I mean,
unbelievable achievement.
I mean, again,
and one, we can't really talk about it because we technically didn't get there because we had the game. Whatever, you know what I'm saying. But like just that communal feel, I think, is really what I'm going for.
Well, and I'll be the first to say I never felt like any game that we played on the road that we didn't feel like the home team. I can't think of a single away game that we played that the home team had more fans than we did.
Rome, they did for about 5 minutes.
Because we got caught in traffic. It's okay. I mean,
but I'm saying, like Rome, when we went to Rome, that was this place shuts down on a Friday night.
Yeah.
Oh, this city shuts down on a Friday night. But then we began doing what we did.
Yep.
And
then they
didn't necessarily leave, but they didn't say a word. There was no peeps coming from the home side.
Well, I got to tell you, my kind of most memorable or most important game for me this year, and it kind of sidekicks on what you're talking about with the Milton game, and that was the Langston Hughes game.
Yeah.
Not even having to do with everything that led up to that game, but just to kick everybody back to losing to Langston Hughes in the state championship game 4 years ago.
Yeah.
In my mind, the back of my mind, and we talked about this with Coach Niblett, this is the revenge factor.
Yeah.
Like, and not even, playing at a neutral site, but having to go to their place and everything that was on the line for our kids and everything that they had to deal with over that time frame, getting ready for that game. And then to go in there. And again, that final score was 40-32. That game was never that close.
No.
They scored a couple of times on our JV kids at the end. Like it wasn't the same as the Thomas County Central game, but we curb stomped them. And that was something that it was very personal for all of us. Just the taste that state championship game left in our mouth.
Yeah.
From how honestly Langston Hughes handled that game and the players and how after the game and how close that was and Coach Niblett's first year and us going 14-1 and having a chance to win a state championship and go 15-0 in that first year. So that Langston Hughes game was circled on my calendar from the very beginning, and for me that was a huge hill or mountain we had to get over with too. So that one for me was a big one.
I'll say this: you mentioned and the minute you said the Langston Hughes game, the first thing that popped in my head was the conduct of the coaches and players after the state championship game, during the state championship game, mind you, but after the state championship game in 2022, and how completely different under new leadership that program, what that program we faced this year was, and what the respect, it just. The coaching staff at Langston Hughes right now, kudos to you.
Yeah.
Kudos to you for making,
recognizing a problem and addressing
it.
Yeah.
And truly a totally different program when it comes to sportsmanship. And listen, we expect there to be some trash talking and some fans trash talking. But Langston Hughes was a whole other level in 2022. An almost scary level. And for them to turn that around, that's something. What did you learn about yourself? And I don't want you to roll your eyes or think I'm asking. I don't mean this glib. What did you learn about yourself as a leader in the post-Brunswick days?
I guess, probably just, more about, the pride in this place, the pride in our coaches. Through that whole thing, it was, I've had a ton of people come up to me and, thank you for everything that you did. Thank you for not giving up on our kids. Thank you for fighting. And that was just never a question.
Right.
There was a, it was just a situation that there was no way that we were going to go down like that. And there was no way we were going to not fight for our kids and do what we thought was right for our kids. So, for myself, it was just really, that, we're not going to give up attitude. We're going to do what we feel like is best for our kids and continue to fight the good fight. And, there was not a better feeling than things finally ending up the way that they did, even though, the GHSA had to be pointed out their own mistakes for it to do what should have been done from the very beginning.
Right.
And, they, of course, and the membership was not very happy about it. But
that's the par for the course with Gainesville. They're never happy with Gainesville.
No. And, again, I've always been a staunch supporter of the GHSA. Certainly from the office standpoint, the membership maybe not so much, but
right.
I really felt like the ball was dropped very early, and I guess part of it for me is the minute that the incident had calmed down, literally within 30 seconds of the incident being calmed down, players on both sidelines, I was on the phone with the GHSA to make them aware and kind of get ahead of things, and really kind of felt like. That we could all kind of work together to figure this thing out, because again, it wasn't game 2. Mm-hmm. It was a very important part of the playoffs. Working with Steve Waters at Glenn County, who's also a member of the Board of Trustees, who was very supportive of us in this situation. And for us to have immediately reached out to the board, the GHSA, to kind of reach the best possible scenario, and for them just to take it and use it against us. Yeah. Really, to be honest. Yep. To kind of create a very difficult situation that was, at the end of the day, if we had done what they wanted us to do, it would have been an unsafe environment for our kids. People can say what they want. We don't have a massive ton of depth where we could miss 36 kids.
Right.
And still. Not just win, but even put out a safe product on the field. So in the end, it all worked out. Not exactly how we wanted it to, but at the end of the day, we were given the right to play. We were able to go to Langston Hughes and do what we needed to do. We went to Rome and left no doubt on that one. And the state championship game didn't turn out the way we'd like for it to.
Which, in hindsight, is okay, because in whatever books are written from here on out, we technically weren't in that state championship game. because we played an ineligible player for one play in the fourth quarter of the game against Rome. I wonder and I'm sure there are no backroom discussions being had. There are probably
I'm glad you have that faith. I don't know
shower time thoughts individually from certain people. And I would think Dr. Scott was one of those with the GHSA. But, the idea that we need to transform thought from because we say so and everything's black and white to, things exist in the gray. Most things exist in the gray.
Yeah.
And you need to be a little more nuanced in how you, how you adjudicate things.
I think you said it best there. Everything is not black and white. And if you're going to try to make it black and white, you better make sure your black and white is right.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the way the bylaws were written, they were not following them to the right semantics. You're a journalist, I'm not, so I don't really know exactly what I'm trying to say, or I do know what I'm trying to say, but I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. But they weren't following them to the T.
Right.
And if number one, if again, we just had a very logical conversation about it and allowed both sides to be a part of it, we could have worked it all out and to something that would have been beneficial for both, which is just crazy to me too. How this whole scenario worked out. Obviously, we know everything that happened with us, but Brunswick ended up getting back their entire team too, which I understand. But at the end of the day, they were at fault.
Yeah. And that's according to their athletic director.
Yeah. Who was again being 100% supportive of us.
Golly, what strange and not so wonderful days, man.
Yep.
But the outcome, obviously, what we wanted. I don't know that there has been a moment where I've been more proud.
Yeah.
To be a red elephant.
Yep.
And listen, here's the thing. Again, I go back to the narrative on our social media feed the morning after it happened, compared to that afternoon, compared to that Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
When people actually started seeing video and seeing what really happened.
Well, and it's so funny to me.
Everybody wants Gainesville to be
the villain.
They want us to be the villain. But sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, I'm sorry. The funny part to me is that the narrative turned whenever a Brunswick parent who had been videoing from their sideline posted their video.
Correct.
Because it showed the details.
Yeah.
And it became the driving force of turning people's opinion from Gainesville's being Gainesville to no, they were wrong.
Yeah.
And Gainesville was wrong.
Right.
And this needs to something needs to be done about this. So I don't know if that mama that was videoing her son was really excited about the fact that she put that out on social media. But thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you, and hopefully your son has not had to transfer. Yeah. But if there's one moment from the fall that I wish I could relive, but not really. The moment of realization that our kids are running out onto the field.
Yeah.
And this, I literally reached my arms out as though I could breathe. I could pull them back. Just standing there going, no.
Yeah,
you could, And again, for those maybe new to this platform, new to us, but for those who have been around, why did they run out there? Because Coach Niblett ran out there. Why did Coach Niblett run out there? Because the referee told him to.
Yeah.
So, but if I think about that moment a lot. I think about that one little moment where it was our kids are running out onto the field.
Yeah.
And at that time, of course, didn't know the entirety of the story of what, but
correct, yeah.
Yeah, that just wanting so badly to be able to pull some literal strings and get them back.
Well, and if I hear one more person, from the GHSA, well, y'all need to have a fight plan. Well, duh, everybody has a fight plan. That doesn't mean
we clearly do have a fight plan. Our flag football team showed it the next week.
Yeah, you're right. Well, yeah, but at some point, you've got 10, maybe 12 coaches on the sideline and 120 players.
Correct.
Do the math.
Right.
Your math doesn't math on that one. And again, that boils down to that situation boiled down to if that incident had happened in the first quarter, nothing happens.
Right.
It was late in the game after players had been throwing punches. We had been talking to our players. We'd been talking to the referees. It was being ignored. They weren't being flagged. They weren't being penalized. They weren't being talked to. No one was going to talk to their head coach and telling them to calm down. It was just solely defend yourself.
Correct.
And so if all of that hadn't happened, or had been addressed early in this, at the end of the day, kids are kids, and we want them to make better decisions, and we talk to them about making better decisions, and we do have a fight plan for all of those people that want to say, get a fight plan. I mean,
my fight plan is to fight back. Win.
Oh, here we go with the.
Here we go with the fighting.
Be a fighter again.
KDB's fighting again.
But learned lesson.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe we'll spend more time practicing fighting. I don't.
No. Practicing a fight plan.
Practicing not fight. Well, but you got to have, like, somebody's got to pretend to be in a fight for you to practice it.
I could pretend being in one. I could pretend.
Maybe we'll go out there one day and just see what happens.
Just start wailing on each other.
Yeah.
Some people be standing around being like, it was going to happen eventually.
I don't know. I don't know.
Who y'all
Didn't see that one coming.
Have you never sat in a room with them? That's funny. So last thing about fall to get to before we move into winter, spring, and then talk a little bit about what's to come. What a great job Jordan McCoy did his first year as a head coach with our flag football program.
Absolutely. And for somebody who, whenever, Jordan heard we were getting flagged, came right to me, was standing right there, I want to do it. I want to do it. I want to do it. I was like, all right, go for it.
Yeah.
And
God, he was great with the girls.
He was, and really for somebody, and you don't think about this, for somebody who's a baseball coach.
Correct.
Jumping into flag football, really, did a great job of leading the program. He had, his offensive coaches as defensive coaches, but from a managerial standpoint, really, learned the game, took the time to go to clinics, watch a lot of videos, learn, talk to people, and then most importantly, building relationships with the girls to want to get them out and get them involved.
They absolutely adore him.
It's the craziest thing.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
They absolutely adore him, and I mean, are flocking to play for him. And these are girls from, all walks, who play all other sports, basketball players, track and field athletes, soccer players.
Yep.
It's everybody, and that's to me, that's the most impressive thing, is how he avoided being off-putting in any regard.
Yep.
He just created an environment that kids want to be part of. And if that's not the baseline thing, I don't know what is.
Well, especially in a sport, flag football is a multi-sport sport.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Almost all of the girls that play flag football play something else. Mm-hmm. We may have had one or two that were like, I'm going to be a flag football specialist,
right.
But everyone else, was learning a new sport that they had never played before. So, kudos to him, kudos to that staff and to that team for coming out, getting to host a first round
That's right.
playoff game that ended abruptly, but
that is where you saw evidence of our fight plans.
Yeah,
It worked out.
Which is kind of humorous because again, not trying to beat a dead horse on this one, but I look at that. I looked at that situation because I was there on the sideline, saw it all happen, and again in a situation where we have two girls that are getting pounded on,
right.
and to watch our girls just walk away from it.
Yep.
I mean, I know the GHSA looks at that and says, "Good job," and I'm not sure that I do.
Right.
I don't know. I struggle with that. I'm not trying to promote violence or anything, but
right.
at the end of the day, like, if we're not going to protect ourselves, who is?
Nobody. I'll answer that for you right here. We'll end before we take a quick break and get into our other seasons. I want to end on this. I don't know if it's a funny. I thought it was a funny, but sometimes the things 9 times out of 10, the things I think are funny. Adam's the only other person on earth that would maybe think it was funny. Before that flag football game, I'm up in the press box, and Associate Athletic Director Adam Miller comes walking into the booth I was sitting in, game day operations booth. And he's like, "We ready to get this thing going?" And I was like, "Yeah, wouldn't it? It would be funny, like not funny, haha, but funny. This game ended in a fight." was like, wouldn't that just, and folks out there listening, I'm not saying I'm a prophecy, but I'm saying I'm a little prophetic. Because sure enough, and like right after it happened, Adam Miller comes walking back in the booth, and he's like, "Really, KDB?" Like it wasn't me saying it that made it happen.
I'm going to have to beg to differ on that one.
Yeah, again,
if you hadn't said that, you probably said that to the wrong girl down on the field.
I did not. There's not a chance. That's not a chance. You know, I don't spend any time down on the field once the players are there. I stay up in that press box, and I stay good and hidden. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, a lot to talk about with our winter sports and our spring sports. Some return to glory for some teams, state championships, state semifinal appearances. We have had a fortunate view this year of some great athletes and some great programs. So stick around for the rest of the conversation. This is Behind the G. The successes had by the Red Elephants in the fall, both individually and collectively, were present in the winter and spring too. Not present were the storylines off the field, off the court, which kind of was a nice respite for at least Adam and his leadership and the coaches. But had great success over winter and spring. Just talking about winter, boys basketball, of course, Adam. Just an unbelievable. I don't even quite know where to put it when you talk about the history of Gainesville because of where we are. Like you can't. Yeah. It's hard to place what happened this year historically because. Man, we've seen the bottom, right? We hit rock bottom. And for them to come back in such glorious fashion this year was truly something to see.
Well, I think it's always we want to sit here and people want to compare one team, this team to a team that back in the 80s that won state titles or whatever. But it's apples and oranges.
100%.
Obviously, we're basically at a point we're playing in, one of the highest classifications, which is some would argue is the toughest classification across the board in all sports. Athletes have changed, training has changed, the game has drastically changed. Yeah. But to look back at this team, who went 30-1, had a chance. A last-second buzzer beater, knocks us out of the semis, which crushed everybody around here. And you would have think that team would have had a great shot of winning it and going 32-0. Certainly, just didn't see that season ending like that. But that team was so much fun to watch all year long. It was so much fun to watch. Not just because they were winning, but because that team had to me, the greatest group of kids on it that I enjoyed getting to know. Yeah. Getting to talk to watch them work. We've talked about connectivity and chemistry. They are the poster childs for our entire athletic department. And, to be able to, go through that process because at the beginning of the year, all of our coaches, we've talked this a bunch, all of our coaches will, schedule really tough non-region schedules, and Coach Gibbons did that. So we obviously pay attention to what they're doing at the beginning of the season. They're going through non-region stuff. But if they picked up a loss, it wouldn't have been a big deal. Right. We just wouldn't have thought much about it. Yep. But they didn't do that. Mm-hmm. And when you go back and look at, who they played, that was, just incredibly, really, really strong teams from, across the country and picked up wins and, ended up, to me, just the kismet of having to play Dutchtown and then play Woodward on a Friday, Saturday in non-region, and then end up with Dutchtown in the third round and Woodward in the semis. Which were both close games. I mean, we knew we were okay playing them that early because we knew there was a good chance we'd see them later down the road. But just an incredibly fun team to watch. Yeah. Week in and week out. We were gonna. We knew that if Charlie had a good night, we were getting ready to blow somebody out. But if Charlie didn't have a great night, somebody else was going to step up and make sure that we took care of everything. So that I just can't say enough about. I feel like I can sit here and just talk about what a great group of guys that was and how much fun it was to watch them work. And how cool it was that all all 7 seniors are going on to play at the next level.
Yeah.
I mean, that says a lot too, for, what Coach Gibbons has, taken on with that team, developed with that team, and built the relationships to get those guys ready for the next level.
Well, I think we knew when Coach Gibbons came here that we were getting a great cultivator of talent.
Yep.
He's proven himself time and time and time again. Not just with Stephon Castle, who's obviously rookie of the year in the NBA, and that's Coach Gibbons is his guy. But not just with him, but I go back to his Morgan County teams, and that's when I first started taking notice of Coach Gibbons. Because he had a point guard, Tukey Brown, who went on to play at Georgia Southern. But Tukey led Morgan County to their first state title in school history, any sport. Coach Gibbons obviously was their coach. And he'd been with him since he was, kindergarten. That was his coach. Mm-hmm. Your typical community. So you've known that Coach Gibbons, but for him to be able to cultivate so quickly.
Yep.
Was just flooring to me.
Yeah.
And also to cultivate connectivity, to keep kids selfless. This team had a little bit of everything. From a basketball standpoint, they had the right mixture of a little bit of everything. You had great defense at on the perimeter, and you had great defense down low. You had 3-point shooters. You could have an inside out game a little bit with Charlie. You had a great rebounder in Kevin. You had a slasher in KJ. Just this team had just a little bit of everything, and the right parts coming off the bench too. Right parts coming off the bench. Sebastian Collins. We rarely mentioned his name. When that young man,
spark plug.
Usually he just came in to rest someone.
Yeah.
Right, and he was the perfect sub because there was not a drop off in play when he came in.
Yep.
Play maintained.
Yep.
It didn't matter if he came in for Brandon or KJ or Bryce. Play maintained.
Yep.
When they needed that thing you just said, that spark, that's when he really showed how important he was to the team because he always provided it.
Yep.
He always provided what was needed, which that is just unquestionably, you mentioned poster child. That's a poster child of a 6-man.
Correct, yeah.
They always provide what's needed. If it's just a maintenance in play, they provide that. If it is an uptick in energy level, they provide that. And that kid was remarkable too. They had everything, and to keep, I want to say egos at bay, but there was never any sign of egos existing.
No.
There was never a sign that egos existed.
No, but you look at our box scores. I mean, Charlie would have his occasional night where he scores 20-something.
Right.
But it was never 30-something or 40-something.
No.
And when you look at our box scores, we may have 5 guys that score 10 or 12.
Right.
And I would imagine, again, not a basketball coach, never been a basketball coach, but I would imagine that's a great scenario. Yeah. That's a great scenario because somebody's going to pick up the ball, somebody's going to pick it up that night and do something.
Right.
Maybe you typically would score 10 or 12, but maybe tonight you have to score 18.
Yeah.
And I would imagine, being from a basketball coach's standpoint, it's a matter of I just feel comfortable with everybody that's out there. And whether that's Quentin or Brandon or Bryce, coming out and just having a great night tonight, then you knew somebody was going to do it, whatever it took.
Yeah. They were fun to watch. They were fun. And listen, here's the thing. The coach that created that is still our coach. And so we know that we've got a lot more to look forward to.
Yeah, yeah.
This is really just the beginning.
Yeah.
What a fun beginning it was, right?
Yeah.
Thank God listen, if there's anybody, it's KJ that I'm going to miss watching because he was a gnat.
Yes.
I used to tell girls I coached, be a gnat.
Mm-hmm.
Be annoying. Make them want to swat at you. He was a gnat. It was so much fun to watch. I would not have been wanting to bring the ball up the floor against him.
No.
Hear me when I say. I would not want to catch the ball on the perimeter and have him square up to me. No, thank you. I'm good. Appreciate it. Even though I could have shot over him, but we don't need to get into his height. But still, we don't need to. But he was a gnat. Just a fun team to watch. And listen, there are moments, I pay attention to all the stuff that could be under the umbrella of sentimentality, right? I am a sentimental fool, and thank God for it. When we played Dutchtown, the liveliness of the Davis Hill Gym harkened back to a day that I honest to God, I never thought I'd see again at Gainesville High School, only because the gym is so big now, not because we don't have support, because the gym, standing room only, a fervent Gainesville crowd. And, I say a lot for, one of the reasons we all do what we do is to give these young people maybe the kind of experiences we had or the kind of experiences we think they deserve. For me, it's the kind of experience I had here as an athlete. As a student, as an athlete. And part of it was playing in front of standing room only crowds here at Gainesville High School. For those kids to get to experience that, to experience the full force of Gainesville support, this community, was, just the greatest thing for me to get to see them experience that and really soak it all in, man. They enjoyed every second of it.
Yep. And that's one thing that's cool. And, as athletic directors, we talk about this all the time. These days, attendance is down across the board on most things, just because there's so much going on.
And there are different avenues to being able to see something.
Correct. Yeah. People are watching at home. People listen on the radio. People are like, oh, we'll catch them when they get to the playoffs, which is, I think, what we deal with a lot of times. But there's no doubt on that night, a lot of Gainesville that had not been to a game in probably 6 or 7 years.
Absolutely,
they were there that night.
They were there,
and they're going to walk away from that night saying, "Ooh, I got to catch some more of this Gainesville basketball."
Right. Yeah.
And and again, we'll talk about this more later. But Gainesville basketball is getting ready, across the board, take another jump.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So we're certainly excited about that.
Just a great season. Girls wrestling. When we talk about winter sports, listen. Maybe you're taking this for granted. Maybe you're not paying a whole lot of attention because girls wrestling didn't exist when you were in high school, so you don't have those memories associated with it. Maybe it is a newer sport. But boy, we have taken hold of that sport and just created a bit of a dynasty here. Now, it has not been seen necessarily at the state level, with the exception of a Lindsey Soto a couple of years ago. We did finish third, I think 3 years ago. But anyway, third at state. Our girls wrestling program won its third straight region title, area title this year. And I got to say, they were the last board meeting, the last Gainesville City Schools board meeting. Region titleists were recognized. And first of all, it took a lot longer than it has. But our girls wrestling program showed up in T-shirts that they all had on the same shirt. The back of it said 3-time region championship. There was just something about it. Gave me a little. The hair stood up on my arms because it points to a pride existing. That again, I go back to when this senior class were freshmen. People didn't wear their Letterman jackets here at Gainesville. It wasn't a point of pride. And now they are wearing T-shirts touting their athletic accomplishments. Pridefully, with smiles on their face. They want to. Probably put them on the next day too. And that was a really cool moment.
Well, and that's one of the crazy things about when you talk about girls wrestling is that, as you mentioned, a new sport to the GHSA. This 26 class were the freshmen. When Coach Rivera started the girls side of things. So obviously hugely important to them. That program has really taken off. I think we have the right community for it to really dive into it and get involved. And girls wrestling is the fastest growing sport in the state. It's one of those things like, if you've never seen it before, you're like, this is a little weird.
It can be, yes.
But I'll go back to, what was it, 2 years ago, whenever we hosted the area championship and one KDB came to watch her first wrestling match. There was a basketball game going on in the other gym, so I was over there. And whenever you came over after watching us win,
I was on fire.
I
was on fire.
Grinning ear to ear. It was the best time you'd had in your life.
Yeah. Well, and there's just, especially because I think and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, and it's not something we need to discuss in depth, but there have been a handful of times where I've watched our student athletes perform. And the passion for the thing in which they're performing, for the G that they represent, was palpable. You feel it in girls wrestling.
Yeah. Well, and this is what I'll say is I think, we've talked about girls wrestling winning, 3 in a row area championships. That's on the duals side of things.
Right.
I think our girls wrestling team is they get much more into the duals side of it than they do the individual side of it. Yeah. But I think that speaks to the family atmosphere, the family, passion and growth of that program, that it's about them being together. It's about them doing this together. It's about them all pushing this rock up the hill together. Right. That maybe they lose a little bit of that when it goes to the individual side of it. But, our girls take a lot of pride in that duals part of it.
And they take pride in handing down, in teaching the next generation.
Yeah.
You see that. You've seen that from all of them, from a Lindsey Soto and an Emily Mejia Martinez and an Alani Soto, to Alicia Rogers this year.
Yep.
Like, they take great pride in making sure there is somebody coming to fill their shoes.
Yep.
Yeah. So 3 in a row for them, unbelievable. But more importantly to me, great to see them prideful in it. So region champs for boys basketball, region champs for girls wrestling. The region titles did not end in the wintertime.
No.
When things thawed out, we were still winning region titles. And one of them really sticks out from the spring, and that's baseball.
Absolutely.
When you talk about a program resurgence, again, we've gotten to experience a lot of that over the last 4 years. None more so than this year in particular, because it was boys basketball and baseball. And I'll say, and girls golf. Even though it's been happening over the last couple of years, you really saw it with Addison Peoples, a legacy golfer, this year. But the resurgence of these programs that have meant so much to the Gainesville community. They start showing up in force again. And suddenly, I'm walking into Ivy Watson sobbing one day. I'm sentimental as all sin, but I'm walking into Ivy Watson because it felt literally like it used to feel when we were reeling off 3 straight state titles. And the music is blaring and fans are coming out early and the team's out there warming up. And, it's just a different feel, a special feel. And we got to feel that, this year. And so much as we talk about Charlemagne Gibbons being a cultivator of talent, we've got one with baseball too, and that's Coach Chan Brown. He did a wonderful job, and you saw the comeuppance of it this year.
Absolutely, and again, if we were handing out a most improved, team award, it would have to go to baseball. Mm-hmm. Again, starting 1-8. Right. Finishing up with was it a 13 or 14 game stretch over
13
the region. 13 straight region wins. Again, coaches front load their non-region schedules, so we kind of expect some of that. But to see how that team again had to fight through adversity. Yep. There's always a story there.
Yep.
But to put it together and get into the rotation, get comfortable, especially. Again, the adversity. You talk about Coach Brown and what he had to deal with, but also the Vic getting built and just being displaced with all those kind of things. Just a lot going on, and our kids really came together, handled it the right way, handled it well, and fought their tails off all the way into the end. If you had asked me after the 1-8 start, would we win the region?
Yeah.
Would we have a 13-game win streak? Yeah. Would we make it to the second round of the playoffs with an opportunity? Mm-hmm.
Good enough to have won it. Yes,
to have won it. I'd have called you crazy.
Absolutely.
And I think everybody else would too. So again, as you were saying, kudos to Coach Brown, his staff, that team, and when you talk about a quick turnaround. is Coach Brown's second year.
Right.
So, I think, I was telling this to somebody yesterday, I think, baseball, softball is the hardest turnaround in high school sports. I mean, I just think it takes so much. You can't go pick up a bat and ball and all of a sudden just be able to hit.
No.
It takes years and years of practice to get yourselves to that point. Certainly, again, going back to the region we play in, the highest the next to highest classification that you can play in, that, again, some people would argue is one of the toughest in the state.
Yeah. Thinking about baseball winning that region title. And if you've been listening to the show, you heard Cohen Miller and Silas Ingram about a month ago talk about it. If you haven't, go look that episode up, because it was a fun one for us to do, to listen to those two boys talk about their baseball season. But when they get back to Ivy Watson, we had the lights going and the Jumbotron was on, and, we were celebrating with them remotely, right? None of us actually went out to Ivy Watson because it was late at night. It was late at night. Well, we did stay up long enough to get things popping for them over there for when their bus arrived and their families were there. And, Cohen said they step off the bus. They didn't know how to celebrate. They didn't know how to celebrate success.
Yeah.
And so I go back to something I said with boys basketball and the fans that showed up and them getting to revel in their own success by seeing, the community celebrate them. For our kids to get to experience that, it's core memory.
Yeah.
Sitting on that wall and taking pictures as region champions is something they're never going to forget. Hear me when I say, my age, on a daily basis, they'll go back to that moment and bring back the happiness of it, the innocence of it, all of it. They'll go back to that moment. For our coaches to be able to provide that for our student athletes and do it so many times this year, you can't, there's no greater feeling than getting to watch them experience that. At least not to me. Unless you had me out there getting to experience it with them.
Yeah.
If I could get back into a uniform, that would be the only thing better. That would be the only thing better. But for our kids to get to experience that, and listen, boys soccer is another one.
Yeah.
Our boys soccer team had its best season since 2019, and this is since boys soccer became a statewide thing. I think in like the late 70s, and Gainesville began its team. I want to say in the early 80s. Boys soccer has been a quote unquote perennial powerhouse. We've won a couple state titles. We've won region titles. And this year our boys make it to the state semifinals. 19-5 record, best since 2019. Ellie Viviant, I remember him sitting here with us to preview the season. Mm-hmm. And I loved it because I like this sort of cutthroat attitude. We don't see it a lot these days. We see coaches create other teams so kids who didn't get to play on this team get to play, and right, and everybody gets a trophy. And he said, I had to cut some guys who played a lot for me last year because they didn't fit the personality I wanted.
Yep.
And I just love, and my gosh, did you not see exactly why he did what he did was on full display.
Absolutely. And this is a team, I want to remind everybody, they made it to the semifinals as a 3 seed out of our region.
Correct. Yeah.
Again, going back to just how tough our region is, and Johns Creek, who was the 1 seed of our region, ended up winning a state championship and continues to be the number 1 team in the nation.
The nation. He didn't misspeak there.
Yeah. So I mean, our kids overcame adversity all year long. I mean, our soccer team. I always feel like we've got the speed, we've got the ball skills to compete with everybody. And what we saw with them this year is the heart.
Yeah.
They so many close ones, and it's funny to me about soccer. You can fight for 80 minutes, and you lose 1-0.
Yeah.
And you're just distraught about it. Because it was so close. You had how many opportunities did you have, and that kind of stuff. But even going back to their semifinal game, which was close. I mean, it was a really, really close game. It was a tough game. Had some calls that didn't go our way that made life difficult on us. But our kids gave everything that they could do. Again, another team that if you had told me they were going to end up in the semis, I probably would not have agreed with you.
Of course not.
But at the end of the day, it boiled down to the things that you said. Putting the right team together, the right kids that had the right makeup to play with each other in a style to get us in that place.
And listen, y'all like to have this curtain pulled back, right? To see a little behind the scenes. Coach Ellie Vivian is not forthcoming with compliments. He is not a complimentary human being.
Yeah.
That's not to say like he's not fun to be around and he's gruff. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. He's a wonderful human being. But when it comes to his players and his teams, he has a standard, man, and you either meet it or you don't. And not a lot of teams have met it. Not a lot of individuals have met it. When they made the semifinals, I said to Adam, I really want to have Coach Vivian on, but I don't want him to downplay this accomplishment, right? I don't want it to be, and I'll be dadgum if he was not a bright, shining light about these players and this team. And it was, I don't want to say refreshing, but maybe that's what it was. Mm-hmm. It just spoke to, God, how many times have we used the word connectivity when it came to the teams who had success this year? But it spoke to a level of connectivity. When the players have it with each other, that's one level of success you can reach. When the coaches and players have it together as well, man, the sky's the limit. And he clearly had it with his guys.
And I always describe Coach Vivian as a chess master. Like he's not a screamer and yeller. He's not a technique guy.
Right.
He is a tactician. Mm-hmm. He is trying to, in chess terms, move his rook into the right place to be able to set him up for checkmate. He ain't worried about what everybody else is going on. And that's exactly what he did and how he put this team together and how he had to make tough decisions to put themselves in that line. So I think it was kind of interesting because I've always felt that way about him, and I've known Ellie a long time.
Yeah.
For him to then come in and describe about having to make those tough decisions about putting people in the right place, and that's exactly what I would expect out of him.
Yeah, and really interesting to hear him talk about. We're not going to I can't remember how he termed it. We're not going to outrun you, but we're going to be able to run longer than you.
Yeah.
And for him to condition his team in that regard.
Oh yeah.
And
you certainly saw that in every playoff game that I went to, every game that I went to. The first half was close, and the second half was ours.
Right.
And Ellie even said, I think he said it on the show, if we can keep it within one at halftime, the game's over with.
Yeah, no doubt.
And they showed it. They showed that throughout the season. So
don't you love it?
Yep.
And the top two guys, Brian Tercios and Jonathan Vasquez. Not Jonathan Vasquez. Is it Jonathan? It's not.
No, it's not.
Come on, Vasquez, number 7. We know his name. It's right here. It's listed right here under first team all region.
Sorry, I've got it on this list.
Abraham, KDB.
Yeah. Sorry.
Brian Tercios, Abraham Vasquez. They're both coming back.
Yes.
Both coming back.
Yep.
Good stuff. And speaking of, we have not mentioned this yet. At the first part of the show, we talked about 5 players of the year, 2 coaches of the year. Cohen Miller, player of the year in region for baseball. Daniel Rico, pitcher of the year in region for baseball. Cham Brown, coach of the year. Charlemagne Gibbons, coach of the year. Nigel Newkirk was offensive player of the year in football. KJ White should have just been player of the year. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole either. But he was co-player of the year and then co-defensive player of the year, which if you're going to name him player of the year for both, is he not just player of the year? And then Kevin Curtis was co-defensive player of the year as well. So those were the 5 and the 2 that I was talking about. We are not going to list the names of all individual accolades. We would be here for another hour, which aren't we fortunate that that's the case. But as we sort of wrap up the look back on the year, it's a perfect place to end it is with state championships.
Yep.
And we had 3 of them to round out the year. CC Cleveland, 11.98 in the 100-meter dash. She wins Gainesville's first ever girls sprint championship in a sprint event. Then she anchors the 4x200 team about an hour and a half after she won the 100.
Yeah.
She anchored the 4x200 team to the second ever relay state championship in Gainesville track and field history. They ran a 1:38.93. Both impressive times. I think the 4x2 was a school record as well. And then Addison Peoples. Filling in the footsteps of her mom, Kingsley Barrett Peoples, won 4 straight state titles here. Addison starts things off pretty well for herself and wins a state title as a freshman. Shot a 67, which is the second lowest score a Gainesville girl has ever shot for a state championship. Lauren Darnell shot a 67 in 2004. The lowest Kingsley ever shot was a 68, and she did that her senior year. And so if you can imagine the competitiveness in that household.
Well, and that was the best part. I really, really enjoyed being able to walk along and watch our girls play in the 2 days of the state championship and getting to talk to Kingsley and kind of ask her some questions about her time as a golfer. And it was funny to me, at least. I guess it was on day one. And I was walking with her. I think we were on 17, and I was like, hey, and I think it was kind of the time in my mind I was like, hey, Addison's got a shot here. So I was just curious. I was like, hey, Kingsley, when you were a freshman, and you won a state title, what did you shoot? And at this point, I think Addison's at like 3 under, on track to shoot a 69. And I said, hey, Kingsley, what did you shoot as a freshman? And she goes, 85.
Yeah.
And earlier in the day, Kingsley just, I was like, hey, how do y'all compare? She's like, oh, she's way better than me. And I'm like, you won 4 state titles, like, and you're her mom. You're supposed to say that. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, she is a little bit better.
Yeah. 85, 67. Yeah.
So, excited for that family. Again, it was fun to watch all of our girls play, but, to watch, like, really, really good golf out of a freshman.
No doubt.
Addison was so impressive to watch, just how she just commanded that golf course and took advantage of everything that they have. And then to be able to watch, a mom and daughter get to have that kind of moment together.
Oh, gosh, please.
As Addison is doing everything in her power to set herself up to win 4, just like her mom did. I knew that was really important for her going into that weekend, and she did an incredible job. It was so much fun to watch.
And Addison's a legacy kid here at Gainesville High School. Not only did her mom and dad both go to Gainesville, both golfers here. Her grandfather, A.B. Anthony Barrett, went to Gainesville High School, graduate from here. Her aunt, Eliza Barrett Baker, may she rest in peace, 1997 graduated with me from Gainesville High School, was a phenomenal tennis player. She was a really, really good basketball player. Just like Addison was. Addison was a good basketball player as well. They got that competitive streak. They got that thing in them. But Eliza was a really, really good basketball player. And then she dislocated her kneecap when we were in the 8th grade. And she was like, I ain't going back there. Not doing that again. But she won a state tennis title for us here at Gainesville High School. So she has, competitive genes just running amok. And obviously she's got those golfing genes with both of her parents. Yep. And great to see her exercise them as she has. I can't wait to see what the future holds for this young lady. But I know this more so than anything. I'm glad she's here.
Absolutely.
I'm glad she's still here.
Absolutely. And she's obviously got a really, really bright future ahead of her. Looking forward to seeing what the rest of the team can do. Because, again, over the next 3 years, they're going to have a shot to win a team. To win a team state title. So, all of what they've done over the last couple of years, again, at the end of the day, they ended up finishing fourth. I mean, fourth
which is
as a
crazy.
Team. I think last year they finished fourth. It was somewhere right in that range. I don't remember off the top of my head as I look over my shoulder to see.
See if you can see it.
It was 8th.
Yeah.
But still great,
Right.
again, and with Addison, and we've got some younger golfers coming up. It's going to be fun to watch that team and see what they continue to do over the next couple of years.
It's crazy. The individual success that Kingsley had, they never won a team title when she was on the team. They did, though, the 2 years after she graduated, which is just crazy. But if you think about it, when you've got greatness as an example to others that can then follow in those footsteps, obviously you're going to, the totality will come to fruition when the individual is gone who has sort of set the table for everybody else.
Absolutely. One raises the bar for the others. And just while I'm thinking about this, as I've talked a bunch today about how tough our region is, Johns Creek, who won the boys soccer state title, also won the girls golf state title.
Yeah.
In runaway fashion. Obviously Addison played better than their three that scored, but their three that scored were very consistent low golfers as well. So, kudos to them. And again, just, what a tough region that we participate in.
Yeah. And so to wrap up kind of our look back, I really want to hone in on our track and field athletes, and CC Cleveland and Sanaya Williams and Cheyenne Dorsey, and Shalonda Myers, and also our Armani Summers, who came in third in the long jump, was first female to podium in that event for girls track and field. A lot of history was made in Athens this year for our girls track and field team. And what's wild to me is, conversating with Dion Williams, obviously the sprint coach for our track and field team throughout the day. And when it came across our wires as it said that CC had won, and I kind of looked back to make a more meaningful social media post than just, hey, CC Cleveland won a state title. He said when she read it, she cried because she didn't know that what she'd done was that significant. Kid just wins a state title.
Yeah.
And she is crying because she didn't realize it was that significant.
Yeah.
And which, look, that makes what I do for a living, that seals my year right there. That's it. To be able to show these kids that the gold medal is great. The gold medal is what we work for, is it not? But boy, here, more so than you can find most places in this state, here it means so much more.
Yep, absolutely.
Because of all the great female athletes we've had, you know how many great female athletes we've had? And most of them have run track and field.
A whole lot.
And CC's the first to win a sprint event. And what a great, we talk about epitomizing what we want a Red Elephant student athlete to be. CC's one of those kids.
Well, and just like Addison coming back.
CC
Cleveland and that 4x2 team's coming back.
All the 4x2.
And I don't want to harp on this as a negativity thing, but missed the 4x1, by technicality, getting out of sectionals, and they would have been in the top four, if not having won at all. In the 4x1, because they were dominant in that as well. So that's a lot to number one coming back and to be able to look forward to for next year.
Can we say too, as we finish out this segment, 5 girls. That's how many we took to the state track and field meet. 5 kids. And we came in 8th.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It is.
And, I think people think, well, it's 8th place. You're the 7th loser. Do you know?
Yeah.
5 kids.
5 kids, and still had opportunities out there to
finish
absolutely much higher than that. I go back to, if that 4x1 team had made it, where would that? We would have jumped quite a few spots.
Or if the girls who finished first and second ahead of Armani Summers in the long jump hadn't both PR'd. Mm-hmm. And she would have had a chance to finish second or first. That moves us up. Yep. Anyway, just an incredible job all around. What a fun year of athletics this year was. And we got a lot more to look forward to. A lot of it having to do with some coaching changes that we had to make. And one in particular that I know I'm most looking forward to. Can't imagine which one that is. But we're going to take a short little break, come back, wrap up this season finale of Behind the G by talking about what's to come with the G. So we've done a whole lot of looking back at the 2025-2026 school year as it pertains to Gainesville High School athletics. In fact, we spent about an hour and 13 minutes looking back. A lot of great performances, a lot of great moments, a lot of great storylines. But now it's time to look ahead. And part of that is seeing what we did this past year, because I think it sets it sets the stage for what's to come, right? Yep. We talked a lot this year about how about dominoes. Maybe not specifically, we didn't say that word, but Coach Charlemagne Gibbons doesn't come to Gainesville if Josh Niblett doesn't come here first.
Yep.
Coach Chan Brown doesn't come to Coach, and we're seeing a different side of that now. We've got one of the greatest coaches across the board in the history of athletics in the state of Georgia, now coaching our girls basketball team.
Yes.
And that's Jan Azar. And I don't know if she's here, if Chan Brown and Charlemagne Gibbons and Josh and all those dominoes hadn't fallen and us had success as a result.
I think dominoes is the greatest way to put it. I mean, because I do think that along with the facilities piece, which I think is what kind of attracted Coach Niblett from the very beginning. And then from there, I think the dominoes saw, because I think coaches in the community, the outside world saw our commitment to making Gainesville what it's supposed to be again. So that's just obviously a huge part of it, which leads us, to this year's hires. And you can't argue. Number one is Coach Azar. Coming in to coach our girls, bringing Demetrius Frazier with her. 17 state titles. I can't begin to count how many region titles she's won. Probably all of them. If she's been coaching she's won 37. I'll just make up that number.
She's only been coaching for, hold on.
They gave her an extra
one. 29 years she's been coaching. This will be her 30th year.
I'm willing to bet they probably gave her 8 extra ones. I'm just saying.
She has played, her teams have played in the state title game 24 times out of the 29 years. That's ridiculous.
It really is. And maybe that extra 8 is the 8 she's going to win here.
That's it.
Yep. Just I have got to let her know that. But she has come in and for a coach of, I'm going to say a coach of her age. I don't mean that to come across the wrong way. She's come in with spit and fire. And, ready to go.
A lot of energy.
And getting everybody excited and ready to go. I know our summer starts next week for those that don't know, and they've got a great schedule of events they're going to be doing over the summer. She's just created a lot of excitement. No more excitement than you that she's here.
But hold on, is that not a turn of course? And
no,
again,
you're not wrong on that one.
So again,
you're not wrong. On that
we pull the curtain back. So we're gonna pull the curtain back here. Mm-hmm. When Adam came to me and said, "Hey, what do you think about this?" My reaction wasn't great. My reaction to the potential of Coach Azar being here.
And I think Coach Azar is probably tired of hearing about how much you were not excited about the conversation.
Because, again, I go back to the only view I had of her was from 10,000 feet.
Yep.
And, I had the same opinion of her that anybody who goes up against her has.
Yep.
Boy, she complains a lot to the referees.
Yeah.
She
runs the score up. She wins a lot of games.
Yeah.
She won another state title.
It's how we think about all dynasties. Mm-hmm. Like, tell me you didn't hate Bill Belichick after a while. Like,
Absolutely.
even if So anyway, I did not have but then.
Yeah.
But then you actually meet her.
Yep.
And you're like, oh my gosh, are we friends?
We are now.
This is wonderful. Are you my best friend now? Yes, please do be.
Well, and I think, when you're able to sit down and talk to somebody that you don't know, and all you know about them is what you've heard.
Right.
And you really get to meet the person, and you realize that, gosh, we agree on a lot of things. We feel the same way on a lot of things. Yep. Man, you'd be a really good fit here.
You'd be a really good fit here. Boy, I can't, and as if the couple conversations, I was fortunate enough to either get to sit in on that she had with you or have with her myself weren't enough. Then I saw how she was in front of our girls.
Yep.
And I go back to the driving force on a daily basis is ensuring these young people have the same kind of experience that I had here as an athlete.
Yep.
Because it's second to none. Screw college. It's second to none. The way she was in front of these girls that I love just sealed the deal for me. Yep. I was like, oh, that's why. That's why kids play for you. And from the jump, those girls immediately were like, okay, how high do you want us to jump? Where do you want us? Like, it was almost immediate because of who she showed herself to be to them.
Well,
isn't that the most important thing?
Well, and I go back to, and I've said this with all the big coaches we've hired, Coach Niblett, Coach Gibbons, Coach Brown, Coach LeCurve, Coach Azar, Coach Bryant. When you put that person in front of our kids, I just look at our kids and say, if you're not going to listen to them, I don't know who you're not going to listen to.
Exactly
because
right.
They've proven, they've shown on an everyday basis, they know how to get it done.
Right.
They know what the formula is. Just follow them.
Right.
And she's that. She's that.
And what's really, what's been fun for me in watching these great coaches come in and coach our student athletes is the first thing they haven't come in bragging about their accomplishments.
No.
They haven't come in trying to weed people out. They haven't come in with brash natures or demands. They have all come in with the same initial message. Hey, how you doing? I'm going to love you.
Yep.
And you're going to love this.
Yep.
And they've gone about it different. They different roads, but that is the initial message of each one of these people, and that includes Jan Azar.
Yep.
That includes Chan Brown. People that Chan Brown is this gruff, and he is. He absolutely is.
Yes. Yeah.
But God, he loves our boys.
Absolutely.
And they love him. It is that has been the commonality, the common denominator with all these great coaches we've had the fortune of bringing in. Their initial message to our student athletes is, we're going to love on you, man. We're going to have a good time.
Yep.
We're going to have a good time figuring out how to be great. Just in 1,000 ways that sealed the deal for me with Coach Azar. Because I was expecting a little more, I'm going to run you to you. She's got that old school in her, like trash cans on the four corners. We're running you till you puke, baby. Let's go. Just good stuff all around.
Well, certainly excited about them getting started on Monday. I can imagine I'll probably make it over to watch her first practice for a little while. But do want to mention our other head coaches that we have hired so far this year. Cannot gloss over Santavius. Obviously, he's been here a while, so we haven't spent much time on him. But
it kind of feels like he never left, just a little bit. That's why I don't think of him as a new coach.
Correct. Yeah. And he's been here for 5 months at this point.
That's true.
So, but obviously excited about having him. Excited about what he's done with the program and building relationships with the kids that he's done, and certainly excited about seeing what they've got going on in a couple of months. A couple of, one spring sport, one winter sport. I'm going to talk about the spring sport first. Boys golf was hired a new head coach, Ty Barrett. Comes to us from Southeast Whitfield, where he's been a golf coach, played golf in college. Still says he still does a little Corn Ferry Tour, pro golf stuff. So excited about having him. He's come in and again, when can I get in front of the kids? When can I meet the guys? And had a great conversation with them. He's already got their schedule going for the summer. They're going to be doing some different things they've never done before. So he's excited. He's ready to go, and we're looking forward to seeing how he can, help us rebuild that boys golf program, which is one of the premier programs at Gainesville High School. Lastly is Ty Brown. Ty Brown is going to be coming on as our co-head wrestling coach. And this is kind of a different situation. Coach Tommy Turner has done an incredible job really kind of trying to run two programs.
Yeah.
So this is really about trying to just add more great coaching to that staff and provide, more opportunities for our kids. Coach Brown is a smaller guy. Tommy's a bigger guy. So they'll be able to coach that team in kind of two different ways and be able to provide more opportunities for those kids, from a learning standpoint, and just making sure at the end of the day we're getting the best coaching possible. So excited about all 4 of those new head coaches as we go into this offseason where I know they're going to be busy and then getting ready for next year. I do want to mention just kind of as we finish our wrap up of this year from talking about the 25-26 year. So for GADA points, I want to explain this real quickly. The Georgia Athletic Directors Association has a point system, which goes back to competitive balance, really, a lot of it, but I'm not going to jump on that soapbox.
Does it now?
But basically, it's a point system that's put together that rewards teams based on how far they go into the playoffs. So at the end of each year, they award a GADA Cup to the school that finishes number 1 in the state, is based on GADA points. points. So I wanted to just kind of walk everybody through that from where we finished and how our region was. So in our classification in 5A, there are 63 schools. So Gainesville High School this year, based on our points, finished 16th out of 63 teams. So which is last year we were 22. So a marked improvement over last year. We're
1% better, baby.
Yeah, we're up quite a few spots from there. But I want to point out, because again, I've talked a ton about how good our region is. Okay, so Milton finished number 3. Okay, Johns Creek finished number 9. Roswell finished number 14.
Wow.
Okay, we're at number 16. Seconders at 23. Chattahoochee's at 28. Lanier is at 30. Okay, and to me, the important part about that is where Lanier finished at number 30. They still finished, the lowest team in our region still finished in the top half of the state.
Yeah.
Which just shows how incredibly strong our region is. And, you know, I'm pleased. Obviously, I look forward to us, continue to grow and do better and improve every year. We're right smack dab in the middle of our region. And, the cool thing for us, or for me, is that when I look at the points from boys to girls, we're pretty even when it comes across there. So that just, to me, kind of shows where we're at from an athletic department side of things.
Hey, real quick, where did Alpharetta? So Alpharetta's coming into our region. Where did they?
Well, Alpharetta is
their classification
their
up
classification up from us. But I can tell you exactly where they finished in that classification as I looked this up online, because I did not know this off the top of my head.
Oh, my bad.
No, it's a great question.
Is Alpharetta the only team coming in?
Alpharetta and Riverwood.
I'm not worried about Riverwood.
Well,
maybe I should be.
Yeah, I mean,
in what sports?
They're a formidable opponent. I mean, they'll have they're good in baseball. They're pretty good in basketball. They'll have decent wrestling. Football's kind of suspect. They'll be better than Johns Creek, I'll tell you that much. So they'll go across the board on that one. Alpharetta is always, to me, kind of one of the surprising ones. So Alpharetta finished 20th.
Oh, okay.
So they're middle of the road team.
Yeah.
They put a lot of, and again, you got to remember when we talk about Fulton County schools. And again, I'm not trying.
Why are we in the region with them? Yeah, anyway, go ahead.
I'm not trying to bracket, them, but for example, when I think about Johns Creek, I think about how awful their football team is.
Sure.
And so when I say, hey, they finished. What did I say? They finished 7th?
Yeah.
9th, sorry. When they finished 9th in GAD points, I'm like, man, how in the world? It's because they won a boys soccer state title.
Right. They won a girls golf.
I don't know where their boys golf finished, but I guarantee you they finished somewhere up there. They probably finished in the top 4 in lacrosse.
Yeah.
They are. Point is our region has a ton of spring sports success, which drives their points up a whole lot more than it is. But as you mentioned, our region changing this next year, we are losing Seconder and Chattahoochee, and gaining Riverwood and Alpharetta.
Off the cuff question here, just because I feel like being a little petty before we finish out this season finale. Are Chattahoochee and who else we're losing? Seconder. Are they going to regions with other schools in their region of the state, in their area of the state? Are they going to?
Well, yes, they are.
Oh, are they?
Yeah,
Isn't that funny how they let that happen?
Yeah, well.
Isn't that funny?
So Seconder's going up to 7A.
Yeah.
So they'll be in a Gwinnett County region.
Yikes.
And it's not going to be good
That's
for them.
not going to be good at all.
And then,
sorry, Jaguars.
And then Chattahoochee will be in what will be 5, and they'll be in a Fulton County region. So, it's just us.
Yeah. Okay.
But who's talking about that?
I don't know. Not me.
Yeah. So do want to report a little news here. We finished up graduation, and we've got all final grades in. Our athletic department GPA finished this year at 86.4.
That's what I'm talking about.
Which
round it up, baby.
Which
Give us that curve.
We got a 90.
We got a 90. It says it right there.
Yeah, which is a 1.2 improvement over last year. So
that's awesome.
Growth. We like to see that. I do want to point out a couple of our teams that finished at the top. Girls golf was at the top with a 91.7. Volleyball also had a 91.7. So I did have to go back and look. So girls golf actually had a 91.68. And volleyball had a 91.64.
Okay.
So girls golf got that top spot, but also with tennis 91.4, swimming 91.3. Boys golf, who had been a longtime stander at the top of the athletic department GPA, fell all the way down to 90.8. Still an A. Girls golf is our last A team with a 90.1. So super proud of all of those teams. Our coaches do an incredible job of staying on top of that. Got to give Luther a shout out. He does our weekly grade reports. So it's certainly important to make sure that our kids are having good grades and staying eligible ultimately.
And I do want to mention, not the teams, but I find it heartening that the lowest GPA was an 83, which is a B GPA is still decent. Yeah. It's decent.
Yep.
So. Yeah.
Well, and here's what I'll say. We're not going to talk about who is at the lowest, but what I am going to say is who is not the lowest. Okay.
Football? No.
No, football's never down
Never.
there.
And there's like, to me, that you talk about it, that is a vast number of human beings to keep on track.
Correct, yes. Wrestling has typically been at the bottom of our GPA. And for the first time, they are not.
They're on the rise, man.
They are like 5 spots from the bottom.
Get it, Tommy Turner.
Again, just want to give Tommy Turner a little shout out on that one. So
getting those people right.
All right, we're about to close out this long podcast, but fun podcast.
Adam's about to lose his mind. He can't sit still any longer. About to lose his mind.
But I want to ask you. I want to ask you 2 things.
Okay.
Number one, I want you to, in your mind, in KDB's mind, male and female athlete of the year.
Male and female athlete of the year. So male athlete of the year for me has got to be KJ White.
It's a tough one.
It's tough to. I mean, as great as Daniel Rico was. I mean, great. And boy, do we have a lot of fun to look forward to with that young man.
Yep.
And as great as Cohen was for us, you got to pare it down to those who were named players of the year, right?
Yeah, sure.
KJ, just we don't get where we got without him, and you can't say that about any other individual, any of those other 7 seniors.
Well, and KJ, because it was both sides of the ball.
Yeah,
he was gonna run our offense on the offensive side, and he was gonna shut people down defensively.
And I'll also say, while we've got a lot of student athletes who are beloved, KJ is across the board loved, makes good grades.
Yep.
He is just a great, and to me that plays into when you're talking about it's got to be the whole the total, and that he's that guy. Female athlete of the year is CC Cleveland.
Yeah.
And again, it's about the whole. She plays multiple sports.
Yep.
And was very, very good for our flag football team. Our flag football team doesn't get where it got without her.
100%.
And then for her to, it is a very difficult thing to meet your potential. Mm-hmm. That's a very, very difficult thing. It's not easy, and she has met it with room to grow.
Yep.
And what a remarkable to be the first to do something in Gainesville High School athletics.
It's tough.
It's tough.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably why, it broke her down so much, because you wouldn't think.
But, and, I wrote a little article about it. It's hard to make history at a place with so much history.
Yeah.
It's hard to do. And for her to do it and then do it so in a race like the 100, which is just a heralded event, no matter the level, no matter what, it is a heralded event. For her to sort of break that glass ceiling in that race, and then to literally turn around and anchor a 4x2 team, to gold as well. Just, I I wish she played every sport.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and
I wish she played every sport.
yeah, yeah. So, lastly, and then we'll finish up on this. What are you looking forward to most for next year? What is on your horizon that you just can't wait for next year?
The growth. The growth.
Yeah,
I mean, from again, to go back to your third year here is when I started. Second year here is when I started.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how things were, man.
Crazy, isn't it? It's crazy.
It's crazy. And but complete, not just the programs themselves, but also the promotion of programs, the support of programs.
Yep.
Like we were at rock bottom. There's no other way to put it. No other way to put it. And that was across. The only exception was boys soccer, right? Like that was the exception.
Yeah.
They were playing for a state title. But everywhere else, it was just minefields. And how we have grown in every facet, facilities, coaching, student athletes, from a promotional standpoint, doing this podcast, from our social media, from our website, from how we are seen, how we are supported, just all of these things, the growth. I can't wait to see what's next.
I think that's the biggest part because we have no idea.
No, and it's only going up. It's only going up.
Yeah, and I think we could sit here and guess football's going to do this, boys basketball, girls basketball, baseball, soccer, whatever it is, but we don't know.
Well, this year taught us.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way.
I think that next year is going to be a special year. It's one I think we've been waiting on for a long time, and it's just going to be fun to sit back and watch and see who does it.
And it's going to be fun to get to sit behind these mics and talk about it every week. And I can't wait for that part of it.
Yeah.
We have got. And for those of you who think we're just being a little kitschy up in here, we really do all like get along really well. And we have it's inarguable. We have the best coaching staff.
Yeah.
Across the board in the country, the best high school sports coach in the country. You cannot argue that fact. Or you can, if you want to, come try because I can back it up.
We'll give you a
data.
spot right here.
That's right.
Come sit right next to us.
That's it. But then to see everybody, all of these wonderful support performers in their respective things get together and support each other, and want to uplift and uphold and all of these things. I swear, y'all, I'm not just saying this for podcast sake. Like it really is. We all get along great, and we talk about connectivity and how that can lead to success. Well, it's the same thing, even if I'm not playing the sport you're coaching or whatever, knowing that you've got those connections, they exist here. And that's kudos to you for creating this staff. We talk about our coaches creating team, man.
Well, but we've talked about it before. Rising tides raise all ships. And,
they
I
do.
think that's one of the cool things about this staff is that everybody, even the most seasoned coaches, want to talk to everybody else and how did you deal with this? How did you handle this? And everybody wants to kind of learn because at the end of the day, we've got a bunch of high achieving coaches that always want to find out how can I achieve more.
I'm not 100% sure Christina LeCurve is going to be able to be with her volleyball team this summer because she's going to be watching all that Jan Azar does. And I'm just saying, that's how it is. And it's, I'm looking forward to what's next because I know without a doubt, I feel it in my bones. We're about to have a great run across the board. We're about to have a great run.
Can't wait.
And you get to listen to it all year next year, every week. What did we say we were going to do this summer? Once every 2 weeks.
Yeah,
we'll give little updates. They will not be an hour and a half long. It'll be little updates. Maybe we'll bring in a coach if they're feeling themselves for some reason, talk about camp or whatever. But you're not going to not hear from us again until August. So we'll be back. But what a great first season this was. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to do it. Thank you.
No,
thank you. Now let's go out there and fight.
Check out that fight plan.
Check out that fight plan. We appreciate y'all being with us. Folks, we'll talk to you again in a couple weeks. This is Behind the G.